Idag är vi här på Fjärilshuset i Solna med Miles Johnson som är chefdesigner för Levi's Premium. Vi ska ha en liten intervju, men innan vi börjar så ska vi titta på vad Miles gjorde igår kväll på Black Market Store i Stockholm. Han var här för att prata om Levi's Red-kollektionen. So we're here for a reason. We heard that you like gardening.
I do.
That's why we're here. But what fuels your creativity?
Not gardening.
Not gardening?
It does actually, but not for directly what I do, more just to kind of give me some headspace. So yeah, I like being at home in the garden, and I think it's quite a nice way of clearing your mind and physically concentrating and, you know, doing something other than design. And it's very far removed from what I do, so it's just quite a nice recreational thing to do.
How come you're so interested in jeans?
Oh yes, well I used to work in the film industry a long time ago, and I did it for about 6 years. And what I loved about that job was that we would spend quite a long time doing the preparation for a film. So you'd build the characters out of, you know, or with the actor, you know, you build the characters with the clothes that you were choosing or making for them. But then on period films I was doing, there's a lot of kind of making new clothes and then making them look really, really old afterwards. And there was just something really, I was really interested in that whole process of designing something to then strip it down and make it look really vintage. So then I was obviously very interested in clothes, but I wanted to go back to college to learn more about the design and more about fashion. So I went to St Martin's, and while I was there, I suddenly, I don't know how it ended up in my lap, but I started working with denim. I must have just bought it on the market or at a fabric store in Soho or something, and started playing about with it. And because it's such an alive fabric, because indigo is this constantly evolving dye stuff, it opened up this whole sort of, you know, spectrum of things that I could do with it. And so I got really interested while I was at college, and so my final collection was mostly denim or indigo. And then I realised that that was me, that's what I wanted, that's what I wanted to work with. So I contacted Levi's, because I thought, well...
That was your first choice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think that Miles Johnson and Levi's is such a good combination?
Because I do love Levi, I do love the brand. And I think when you've been there for quite a long time, I was talking about this with people last night, it sort of takes you over, it gets in your head. I remember when I first started there, everybody was jumping up and down and shouting and screaming and crying and really, really passionate about, you know, red cast, green cast, denim. And I just remember thinking everyone's really crazy, they were a bit mad, a bit like emotional, and then it's such a, because there's so much story there, there's so much history, and it's just such a lovely thing to get consumed by, to work with the archives and things like that. I feel really, really lucky. So I found my brand, you know, it's a brand that I've grown up with. I've, you know, been with Levi since I was 7 years old, really. You know, and now I design for them is just another kind of stage. Levi's Premium is the top end of our business, which is split into 2 categories. It's the best of everything, so we don't get limited by having to do everything in one place. We might take the best narrow loom salvage denim from Japan, and we might make the garment in America, and we might wash the garment in Italy, and we might take some buttons and a zip from Germany or Turkey or somewhere, and then when it all comes together, it naturally pushes the price of the product up, but also the focus on the consumer as well is quite different, and it's quite a different mentality. It's not not always a basic style. It can be leaning more towards fashion, so it can be quite slick and slinky, or it can be, to the connoisseur, a very historical, very sort of, it appeals to a kind of like a very intelligent, intellectual, brand knowledgeable consumer who really loves the old fabrics and the old styles.
So what should I wear if I want to be really trendy, jeans-wise, this summer?
Yeah, well then you can, I think you probably want to get your boyfriend's jeans.
All right.
And I think you should want to try and wear them in different ways, and maybe pull them up really high and wear them with braces, or wear them really, really low on your hips, really rolled up with heels. I think there's some quite playful things going on with girls wearing oversized at the moment, so I think that's what you should do.
But if I don't have a boyfriend, which model should I buy?
Get a boyfriend.